Hey, YouTubers, Tasman here, bringing you another episode of Foundry Virtual Tabletop from the ground up. And in our last episode, we talked about, we got rid of our Monaco macro editor, which was sad because I really like that one. But we found a decent alternative, which is the macro editor. We also started learning a little bit about JavaScript. But like I've said in my previous video, if you're only seeing this one, I am not a JavaScript guru. It's probably been about 15 years since I've written in JavaScript. Lots and lots has changed. So that part might be kind of a learning process for us both. However, that's not the purpose of this. This is to kind of give you a primer on writing a macro and understanding kind of the file structure, so to speak, or the namespace structure, whatever you want to call about the infrastructure of Foundry VTT. So we're going to continue on from where we left off. So in our last episode, we have now made it so that if we have our token selected, we can run our macro and nothing happens because we don't have anything. If we don't have our macro selected, our target selected or our token selected, we get this little error saying, hey, you don't have a token. Or if we have two tokens selected, we get that same error. So we're able to distinguish that we're able to detect that we only have a single token selected. So let's continue on. So now that we've done that, let's talk about really quick some things that might make life a little bit easier. Because right now we can come in here and we can type canvas token controlled 0, right? And we can see that, I think this hasn't ran yet. So if I do that, all right, so we can see that right now we don't have anything selected, so we got an undefined back. But when we have something selected, we get that. We can also add kind of the similar type thing in our macro, just so that we can actually have it automatically populate that. So when we run our macro, we can see those values pop up automatically. We don't have to go type it multiple times. So let's go ahead back into edit here and make this a little bigger. This is really cool. I didn't know about that. I don't know if that's the macro editor, if Monaco had that or not. But if not, that's actually a really good feature. All right, so right now we've checked if we have a token selected. If we do, we can proceed. If not, we use this return to get completely out of this function, and that exits the program because there is no other function calls at all, or the macro. So let's go ahead and maybe set up a couple things in our console so that we can see the information we need so that we can actually write the rest of this. So now that we know that we have a single token selected, what we can do is get the information on that token, and we can check. Well, let's just do this. So what we do is we use a special namespace function of Foundry. So we would do a console. Oh, actually, this is a Foundry. Whoops, we don't want that uppercase. console. So we want console.log. And what this is going to do is going to say whatever I put in here, I want to output it to the log. So for example, if we call the log function here and we say hello there, hello that there, and then we save that. If we have a token selected, we will actually see in our thing here that we have it. So right now we just get an error saying there's nothing. If we select our token, we get hello there, right? So we can use that to help us troubleshoot. Now it's a good idea once you're done with your macro to go comment all your different console logs out, because they're not doing anything when you're actually running your macro. So we're going to do something a little more helpful here. We're going to leave these quotes here because we want to give a label to what we're doing. So as you can see, we have hello here, hello there. We're going to what should we call, maybe maybe token data, TOKE token and data. So if we do that, we're going to do a colon and then a space because we want our thing after that to be spaced. And then we're going to use a comma. And then we're going to put in our little console command, which would be canvas canvas dot canvas tokens dot controlled, and we want it to be specifically the 0 guy. So now if we do this, what it will do is it'll have a nice little label, and then it will have the little drop down type thing that we were seeing earlier when we typed it in here. So if we go save that and run it, now you'll see we have token data, and here's our little drop down with all of our tokens data. Now we can drill into all these individual things. We can get into the data. We can look down here. There's usually, I believe, a name down here. So we can see it's Accra. And we can, access all this data now. Now, one other thing we can do is we can shorten this into a variable. I don't know if I can safely call it an alias, which means we don't have to type everything that we've done before. So let me just show you what I mean, and you can call it whatever you want. But what we can do is we want to create a variable, and there's our little I saying, hey, you might want to put a semicolon there. So let's go ahead and do this so that we actually have, let's play with its name. So let's say we want to do, let's do my token, something like that. And whoops, I forgot. We want to assign this, so we're going to say let. Now Java, for example, you would say int or something like that to say it's an integer or a character with CHR or a double, a float. JavaScript is more of a dynamic typing. So what type of token this is it's going to set what type this is by what we're actually saving into it. In this case, it'll be an object that's inside our array. It'll be the object stored at array element 0 of controlled. So what we're going to do is we're going to say my token, and then we're going to say equals, and then we're going to type this stuff, or because I'm a slow typer, we're just going to do to there, Control C, and we're going to do Control V. And semicolon. So right now we're assigning my token to this value. It's gonna make my token basically be this object. So if we wanted to say, for example, let's just do it as an info. No. Let's come up here. Let's grab an info just to show you what it's doing. Oops, my mouse is being a little weird. There we go, Control C, and come down here and Control V. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to have it output my token's name. So we're going to change these to single ticks. That's the one, the kind of angled tick, I guess. It's not really the single tick, which is shared with the quote key. It's actually the one that's shared with the tilde key. And what this allows us to do is we can actually directly call variables in here. So for example, here we can say, let's just do, I think we talked about this in our other macro video. So with those, now we could say my name is, and we can now access that variable by doing a $sign or the string, and then is that the squiggly braces? Yes. And then we can actually say my token dot name, right? So now if we go save this, hopefully it works. There we go. My name is Accra. It worked. All right, so now now you might be saying, well, couldn't I do that same thing just by sticking in everything? And that, yes, you can. So if we wanted, we could actually take this same thing and do a V, not V, Z. Now I have to re-highlight it. To right there, Control C. We could, if we wanted, not use this at all, the my token. We could come in here and say, let's just get rid of that and throw in this entire thing. Control C and Control V. So both of these should actually do the exact same thing. And if we run it, we should see my name's Acra twice. The big difference is if we're assigning a single, like if I knew, for example, I had a familiar and it was token 1, I could also create one that's the same as this, and I could have another one called my, instead of my token, I could say my familiar, and then just change that value to 1. And now anytime I access my familiar, it's automatically going to go there, right? So hopefully that makes a little sense. So we're going to go ahead, because this is also a lot more typing, and I'd rather not do that, especially because every time I want to access that, I would have to type in that whole thing. All right, and we're going to go ahead, and I don't know that we actually need the my token directly. Trying to think. Actually, yes, actually I do. So another thing we might want to do with our token is get that roll data we talked about, which lets us access all that rollable data. So maybe we'll say, let's call it maybe my data. So we'll do let my data equal. And if we remember in our previous one, we could actually, if there's a token selected, we know there's a token selected, we can actually do, we can find out information directly about that one as far as the roll data goes. We can do, what is it? It is token dot actor dot roll, is it uppercase? Get roll data, GETROLLDATA, like that. And if we do that, so this is a function of the this is the get roll data function of the actor namespace within the token namespace. I don't know how to say it. So if we do that, now we can actually get that information as well. I feel like I'm missing. Okay, so some things I like to do, instead of having this like get my name thing here, I like to create little checkpoints in my code so that I can come in here and actually get information so I can see what I need for any next things. So we come here, and I'm just going to do to console log co and sol at console.log, and instead of having to type that whole line, now all I have to do is my token. So I could do my token. Actually, let's do, yeah, my token's fine. This is just a label. Token, and then I'll do that, and then a comma, and then we're just going to do my token. Like so. Then we're going to do a second one. Control C and Control V. And we will call this roll data. I don't think yeah, that's good. Roll data. And we'll change this to my data, right? Or did I call it? Yeah, my data. DATA. So if we run this now, you'll see it actually created two things. My token, which is all my tokens info. And we also have the roll data, which is like the abilities, attributes, bonuses, classes, all this other stuff. So these are things we might want to use with our thing, because with initiative, obviously you're going to need to know what your dex modifier is so that you know what your initiative modifier is. If you're using the rules in here if you're using the rules in here that says, oh, I'm in the wrong one. That says, where is it? Initiative tiebreaker. So the dexterity tiebreaker, what that's going to do is append at the, it's going to basically, so if I roll a 5 and I have an initiative of 5, it's going to go look at my dexterity mod, or my dexterity value, which might be, what would 5 be, 18, and it would stick .18 at the end. That way if someone else has a 5, or if they have, say, a 3 and a 7, or they roll a 7 and they have a +3, they're also going to get 10, but maybe their dexterity modifier is only like 12. Well, that's actually 1. So yeah. Anyway, so that's what that's going to do for us. So that is one thing we want to do, is so when initiatives are rolled, we have the tiebreaker built in. Now, the one thing about this macro, and this is the part where I was saying in my first video, I haven't got it fully working yet. I can get it to roll the initiative with advantage, and it will give me the value in chat. However, it does not actually add it to the combat tracker. Now, I know how to add it to the combat tracker, but it adds it to the combat tracker with the little die saying roll initiative. So that's something I'm still working on, and as I learn that, I'll probably add on this video for you. So now that we have this information where we can look at our roll data, we can look at my token there, I think we're doing pretty good. Let's see. So what's the next thing we probably want to check for? I'm going to go ahead and get rid of token data, because we do that down here. And, you know, this is where, once again, good idea, add some comments. Set variables variable with tokens informatIon. So we're setting a couple variables with token information. So the next thing we probably want to do is, one, check if there's even a combat. So I don't necessarily want to do this, and I probably even want to do this before I set any variables. So like maybe up here, let's check if there's actually combat running. So if there's not in here an encounter running, we don't even want to roll initiative. That will actually keep us from, oh, I clicked it on accident and I get a big dice roll up here. Not a big deal, but it is a chat card and it might throw people off. So let's check and see that there's actually combat running. So in order to do this, we're going to need to use our game variable. And we talked about that, I believe, a while ago. So if we go game dot, and then I believe we want combats. And then we need dot, and we want combats again, because this one is, so combats is the namespace, but combats, the second one, which is, this gets really confusing, by the way, but this is our array. So this would be what combats we have. So if we actually come in here and don't do that second combats and hit enter, we will see that there is a second combats here, and if we go click on that, we can see that it is an array and it's set to 0. So we know there's no combats going on. Now, if we wanted, we could go add a combat, and if we run this again, now it will actually say there is a combat. Now it hasn't started, but there is a combat there. So this is where normally you would say, yes, I want to roll initiative, right? So if we run this once more and hit enter, oh, whoops, without the slash, and hit enter there. Now you'll see we actually have a combat mapped out. We have one going on. So this is what we want to check for, that yes, there is an actual combat going on. So we're going to go ahead and end the combat. If there's no combat, there's no reason to do anything else. Once again, we just want to exit. We don't want to do anything else. We just want to say there is no combat going on. Is that how I want to do it? Just thinking. I think so. Let's go ahead and see if we can figure that out real quick. So, oh, I probably should have kept that thing going on. So if I do this, oh, I don't have it up there anyway. Hit up arrow, hit enter. This way we can see what we actually are doing. So here we have combats, and there's an array of 0. Just seeing if there's anything else that we might want to base it off of. I think it would be combats. So if combats is 0. Because when there is, however, when there is a combat, I don't know, let's play with this and just see if it works. Because, I mean, we could check it, and I can't remember how I did it for my friend. I think I actually checked if there were combatants. I think I did check if there was combatants because I want to make sure he's already in the combat tracker. I mean, because I can add him in the combat tracker. So if I click on him and put him in combat, now he's in the combat tracker. And as I recall, if we now do combats here and we go look at combat, if we go look at our combats right here, we have an array of 1. And then inside that combat, which would be number 0, we have something called combatants, which is also an array, or a mapping, I guess. And inside there, we can see probably, is there a name in here? The Acra's in there. Now, we don't really care. I mean, we could make sure he's in there, but really it doesn't matter because it's not automatically adding that. So I'm not really worried about that. Let's see if we can figure out how to make it, just check if a combat is, holy cow, we're at 22 minutes already. Let's just see if we can figure out how to make check if a combat is actually running. So let's go ahead and edit our macro. And I think before we even do any of this stuff, might as well see if it's even, if there's even a reason to do that. So let's go ahead and create another if statement with all our fun stuff here. And I think we want to do, would it just be game combats? So game dot combats, and then maybe combats again, combats bracket 0. No, just whoops, didn't mean to hit F12 again. We don't want the bracket 0. Maybe dot length, because we kind of want to do this, right? So game combats length, and we want to make sure it's greater than 0. Because that would be, yeah, I guess that works. I mean, if there's multiple combats going on, I've never really ran multiple combats, but I guess if there are multiple encounters, I guess is probably the best way to say it. So let's try it, .length length, and say is less than 1. Is that right? Length is, no, less than 1, which means if it's 0 or a negative number, less than, or we could say less than equal to 0, right? I don't know if you could have a negative combat, but if you can, that would cover that. It would say 0 on down. So let's just test this. We'll have it throw an error. Control C, Control V. And we'll say there are no combats running or something. There are no C-O-M-B-A-T, bats. R-U-N-N-I-N-G. Another exclamation point because we're serious about this. And we want to return. Semicolon. Let's see if that works. Because actually it said combats is a map. I don't know if you can do a length on a map. Huh. Let's try it. Might have to go research some stuff, which is good because we're at 26 minutes anyway. So if we run that, we had everything work. We got our my token and my roll data. We do have a combat running, so that seemed to work. Maybe it will work. Let's go ahead and end combat by just deleting it. So now there would be no combats running. There are no combats running. Hey, that worked perfectly. So if there's at least one combat running, then you can go ahead and roll your initiative. No combats running. We go out of combat. And now it works. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. Now, later on, we could always get more information on our combat. So this is, once again, I like to keep these console logs in and then just comment them out, because a comment isn't going to tax the system at all. Just comment them out when we're done. So here we know that we have a single token selected. We know that there is actually a combat running. So now we have all the parts that we need to know that this token can do stuff. Now, the one thing I probably would want to do is probably disable this comment here. That way, if they click it on accident and there's no combat running, it just won't do anything. It'll just, yeah, you clicked me. I recognize there's no combat, because this isn't something the player can actually change. So I think that's fine not to have any notification. It just makes the token or the thing end without giving anything. All right, so let's go ahead and let's see, we're at, where's our time? 28 minutes-ish. Can we, well, let's go ahead and create our information on our combat. So we are going to set variable be a variable to get COM combat info. Sure. So let's go ahead and we're just gonna, let's call it combat. CONSOLE.log, and go ahead and say COMBATINFO and colon space and a comma, and then we want to, I don't think we care about this one being in a variable because I just want to have this information at my fingertips if I need it without having to go in here and type it later on. So I think we're just going to do game.combat .combat bracket 0 bracket like that. I think that, whoops, I put a space. Was it combats? It's combats. And I don't think, I mean, later on we might need this for if I can figure out how to add that initiative automatically in there, because right now when you click on your token, you go into battle, it's actually going to put a little dice there that you click and it rolls initiative. Now you can't actually make that roll initiative with advantage. However, I was just thinking of something that I don't think the guy ever checked, is if you roll initiative, is it up here? Initiative. Yeah, that's the one I like. Proficiency, inspiration. Because initiative simply your dex. I'm not. Oh, there it is, right there. If we roll this, does it pop up? No. See, that just rolled it. If I hold Shift, I probably have to go. Wait. I thought we checked this, so let's go ahead, close the combat out. If I roll initiative with a Shift, yeah, see, it's not giving us anything. And I wanted to, let's go change his dex to like 15, just so we have a value there, so we can actually have it play. Because you'll notice it says .10, but now if I click initiative again, it doesn't do anything because there's initiative already there. That's right, we did try that. So I'm going to go ahead and kill that. And we're at 32 minutes. So I think we're going to call it here. We've now got it so we can see our combat info. Like I said, I don't think we really need any of that. In the next episode, we're going to get our values that we need, and we're going to maybe get the roll. We might actually get a big chunk of it done in the next episode. Maybe the whole thing, I'm not 100% sure, because there's various ways we can output at the console, and I kind of wanted to show both those. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. And don't forget to tell other people about my channel. Come check it out. If they like what they see, they can sub. We can grow the channel, and it will just be awesome. And that is it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.